welcome to today's episode of Happy Hour History on Carolina Day. Happy Carolina Day, Christian.
Woo!
And just for the record, we are going to be drinking today because here at Heart of Charleston Walking Tours, as a local company, we like to support local companies as well. So we are drinking Gray Man from Pawleys Island. It is a stout. It is delicious. And we are going to be talking about the Gray Man on another episode. Have you ever heard about the Gray Man, Christian?
I have.
Okay, we'll be talking about that on another episode. But more importantly, today is Carolina Day. It is the anniversary of the very first naval victory, the very first victory against the British Navy, I should say, of the American Revolution on Sullivan's Island. And this happened on this day, June 28th in 1776. Now, some people would even argue that this was the first decisive victory against the British, although Lexington and Concord could be argued as the first victory. It wasn't on a large scale, and it was against the Army, not the Navy. So this was the very first decisive victory against the British anywhere in the nation of the American Revolution. And it's why the palmetto tree is on our state tree. It's why it's on our state flag today, which is based off the battle flag behind me, which we're going to talk about. And it's why we're proud to call ourselves the Palmetto State. So let's get started. South Carolina had already left Great Britain before the Declaration was signed. Many people, or many states, I should say, had done this as well. And the Declaration of Independence, which was approved on July 4th, 1776, and signed in August. It wasn't signed on the 4th, it was approved. That didn't start the war. Some people think it did, but the war had actually started in 1775. Or you could even argue it started as early as the Stamp Acts. But the importance of the Declaration of Independence was that it created our nation. We realized that we could not... hey, Mike, thanks for watching. Thank you very much for watching. We are having to look at our phone here right now because the camera's so far away to include the battle flag, so thanks for watching. And no, Mike, this is a serious post, okay? The Navy did not have fat pirates. They had fat sailors, okay? Where was I? Talking about the victory. The importance of the Declaration was that the colonies realized they had to form together as one nation instead of individual nations, because that's why they were losing the first year of the war. And we also declared our own nation again on December 20th of 1860. And Texas is so proud to have been a country before it was a state, but we did it twice. So get behind us, Texas. Anyway, let's get started with the actual battle. The British were upset that South Carolina had left Great Britain because Charlestown, as we were called, we changed the name from Charlestown, named after King Charles II of England, to Charleston in 1783 after the Revolution. Charlestown was the wealthiest city in the British colonies of North America. So the British were very upset when we left because we were the crown jewel of Great Britain. And on June 28th, this day in 1776, the British decided to attack Charlestown with a fleet of 9 warships and approximately 300 cannons. To defend ourselves, we had a hastily constructed fort made out of palmetto logs and sand that wasn't even finished yet. It was a small fort that was about 24% complete. You may hear this battle referred to as the Battle of Fort Sullivan, but the fort did not have a name. It's really the Battle of Sullivan's Island, or better referred to today as Carolina Day. And this battle was... and we had 32 cannons against 300. I may have already said that. Did I say that?
I think you may have mentioned it.
I'm like Diamond, he's like Silk. So, by the way, Diamond and Silk, if y'all are watching, we love our great president too. And if you come to Charleston, you get a free tour on us, and we would love to do a joint show. Please.
Maybe we should tag them.
Please. Yeah, can we? Let's do that. And so the British attack with that massive fleet. They see this wooden fort. They think that they're going to be done by lunchtime. They think we're just going to decimate the fort. But what they didn't know is why Colonel William Moultrie, who was promoted to general the next day, chose the palmetto logs. They're very, very soft. And so when the British artillery, as they opened massive fire on our fort, the British artillery struck the fort and then sank into the fort or bounced off. Now, it's not true that we reused British cannonballs. If you hear that myth, it's not true. But what is true is that the palmetto logs gave us the ability to fire back at the British unhindered because our fort was not becoming damaged. And during the battle, our flag, this flag, which we're going to conclude telling you the symbolism of this flag and the state flag, this flag was shot down, and Sergeant Jasper, realizing that he needed to increase morale, jumps up on top of the fort, dragging with him a cannon ramrod. And he sticks that in the ground, making a makeshift flagpole, and ties the flag to it. And he looks out at his men holding the flag and says, "Don't let us fight without a flag." Now, did he get back into the fort immediately? No. Instead, he's standing up on top of the fort for a brief period, insulting the British, saying, "You can't shoot me, you can't touch me." And he's under heavy fire. So he's basically doing the first hammer time. He's going, "Can't touch this. Can't touch this." We try to keep this fun here. But he's up there doing this to show the men that we had the ability to beat the British. Even though we'd been losing since Lexington and Concord time and time again, even though that was a victory, we had the ability to beat the British. So he comes back into the fort later, and after rallying morale, they fight to victory. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The British, now realizing that they cannot damage the fort, try to sail behind the fort with 3 ships, because remember, it's not finished yet. So they try to fire into the fort from behind, from what is today the Intercoastal Waterway. However, they didn't know the harbor, and they got stuck on a sandbar about where Fort Sumter sits today. Mrs. Disher, thank you for watching. This Mrs. Disher was my principal at Mason Prep, and a wonderful woman and educator. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Ms. Disher.
And so they sail behind the fort. They try to. They get stuck on a cannon on a sandbar about where Fort Sumter sits today, because Fort Sumter was built on a sandbar. Okay, and they're now within easy range of the American guns, or Patriot guns, since the Declaration hadn't been approved yet. And they're getting slammed. They were able to get 2 ships off the sandbar, but the third one was so badly damaged that they had to scuttle the ship, meaning destroy it so that we couldn't get it. This was really embarrassing for the British Navy, considering that they felt the colonists were not a threat. After the battle, the day after the battle, as the British fleet was sailing away, a small American group boarded that derelict vessel and opened fire on the British with their own cannons from their own ship. Mm-hmm. And that's where the myth of reusing the cannonballs started. Now, then, realizing we can't get behind the fort, they try to go onto what was then called Long Island. Not Long Island. It was Isle of Palms. Did you know that Isle of Palms was called Long Island?
I did. And I think it changed when?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember. I'll have to look that up.
1950s?
I'll have to. But no, it was before that.
Oh, it was.
But we'll also have to do an episode on why Sullivan's Island is called Sullivan's Island. But if you are
General, it was for a general, right?
No, it was for a drunkard. So it'd be great for happy hour history.
You're right.
But the British now try to cross over Breach Inlet, thinking it's only 6 to 8 feet deep. Breach Inlet is 12 to 20 feet deep, and they were wearing wool uniforms in an inlet that has a deadly undertow that will carry you out to sea. Now, on top of that, you had Colonel William Danger Thompson. Colonel William Danger Thompson. Have you ever heard of Danger Thompson?
Yes, I have.
Danger Thompson gets that's his nickname, it's not his middle name. Danger Thompson gets that name. Thank you, Mrs. Disher. I really appreciate the compliment. I do. Danger Thompson got that name because he was a crack sharpshooter and led a team of sharpshooters also along with Kiowa Indians, which were our allies. And what's little talked about, because many tour guides just don't have the time to talk about it in their tour, is that the Indians were doing cartwheels on the beach to taunt the British, just as Sergeant Jasper did. And so they were cut down by these sharpshooters and decimated. And then the British decided to retreat. Now, at the end of the battle, the British, by the way, Christian, when I start talking about the state flag, I'll tell you that we're about to end. When the battle was over, the British walked away with approximately 300 casualties or more. Do you know how many casualties the Patriot forces had, Christian? One casualty. And this was the first decisive victory against the British Navy anywhere in the country of the American Revolution. And thanks to the palmetto trees, that's why it's on our state flag today. That's why it is our state tree and why we are proud to call ourselves the Palmetto State. Because I don't know if you knew this, Christian, we actually outproduced Georgia for peaches.
I knew that, yeah.
Do you know the only state that comes ahead of us?
It's like Alabama.
California. Our peaches are better than California's, by the way. But why would we want to be the peach state when we can be the Palmetto State? Now, talking about the flag, okay, this was the battle flag. Not yet. Now, originally, there were several versions of the Liberty flag. Some had Liberty within the moon, some didn't. But the original Liberty flag, the crescent moon was originally a gorget. A gorget was a... Do you know what a gorget is, Christian? Mm-hmm. What is it?
Is it like this shape?
It was a piece of neck armor. During the Middle Ages, it would protect your throat from saber strikes. At the time of the Revolution, starting in the 1750s, the royal governor wanted the South Carolina Independent Company, which was basically like a National Guard. They swore allegiance to the royal governor and the king. He wanted the gorget on the hats as a symbol of military power. And during the Revolution, though, it gets angled like this. Why is that? Because this symbol, as a crescent moon, on the coat of arms of a British individual. Now, we're not talking family coat of arms, we're talking individual coat of arms, which would include the family crest. This symbolized the second son of an English family. And what that meant was those sons would not receive any English land because they were the younger sons. The older son would inherit the English land. The youngest son was sent to the colonies. Okay, so by putting this on our flag, we were saying we're not English. The blue color on both the flag and our uniforms was thanks to indigo. There was a local lady by the name of Eliza Pinckney. Do you know how old she was?
She was like 20.
She was 16 or 17. So she was a very young lady when she discovered this. Indigo, the plant, could allow us to make blue dye affordably. Whereas back in England, it was very expensive to make a dark shade of blue like this. Sometimes it was even called royal blue because only the nobility could afford it. But thanks to indigo, we could. So by making our flag blue, we were saying we're wealthier than England. Now, the word liberty, which was on the battle flag here, it's pretty self-explanatory. But in 1861, we took the word liberty off and added the palmetto tree to make our state flag today. And that means that our state flag is a triple insult against the British. It says we're not British, we're wealthier than Britain, and with the palmetto tree, we beat you with these trees. Now, Christian, I think that that's a great way to end the tour.
I do.
I mean, not the tour. I am a tour guide, so please. I've been working with horses all day, which is why this happened so late, because I had to get cleaned up. But if you do come to Charleston, please look us up. Please contact us for a walking tour. And I do think that's a great way to end this episode. And so
And then cheers to Carolina Day.
here's to Carolina Day. Here's to the brave patriots that earned us our freedom. Now, I will end with a toast if you'll be ready to go and turn it off and end the episode. So if you want to head over there, I'll end with a toast so that we're not just hanging out for a few seconds. So folks, to the brave patriots from the Revolution to today, who are willing to not only have earned, but to defend our freedom. This drink is for you.